Hello, my name is Jason Lamb. This will be my submission for assignment 1 for our data analytics class, and this is going to be the tutorial guide of machine learning models. So just to give a rundown of what we're going to be discussing today, this is just the topic scope. Um, we will be answering the following questions. What is machine learning? What is a predictive model? And how are predictive models being used both theoretically and in real-world examples? And what are some of the limitations of machine learning as we know it today? So just to give a rundown of many terms that I'll be using, we should be talking about machine learning at its core, which at a simple form means machine learning is something that a program uses to improve itself automatically, and it's able to optimize its own outputs, and it gains experience through various iterations of it trying to solve the same problem. And what I'm describing right now is actually artificial intelligence, and machine learning is actually the basis of artificial intelligence. And it can be used for a lot of different things, and what I'll be focusing on today are predictive models. Predictive models allow for effective predictive analysis, which, if we're going to define, basically means it's utilizing past and current data to predict trends that will be helpful to the user. So machine learning is able to conduct predictive analysis based on all of this data that a company has, be it company data that they've had over the past decades or something that they're constantly getting fed in now. And they use this data to draw conclusions that a person would never be able to link up. And these correlations that the computer is able to notice can help them with different marketing strategies. And these can vary between optimizing store layouts or recommending purchasing options for online customers. And these are just very small examples of what machine learning can do with predictive models and how they kind of automatically compile their information. So why is machine learning and predictive analysis useful? Machine learning is able to make these models and take data and transform it into meaningful insights. For example, Walmart would be able to take a list of all of their purchasing history for the past 12 years, and they're able to compile all that information and use an AI, use machine learning, to see what would be more beneficial to the business and what wouldn't be based on the past things. So if you have a item list of purchase histories, you'd be able to see that certain items aren't being bought out of the store and being rotated through product as often. So you'll be able to adjust for that. And these models can be used virtually for anything, something as small as inventory management to something even much bigger. And this adaptability is what makes it such a powerful tool. It's basically able to make informed and accurate decisions based on factual data that you are able to supply to it. And since it's only based on factual data, it creates an unbiased decision. So for example, in the Walmart example I was talking about before, if you have an item list and you notice that certain items aren't being sold as often in certain locations, you can start optimizing where you want to put certain products so they'll be able to sell the most and make the most money. Examples of learning modules are listed below here. We have customer lifetime value models, which are able to find customers that are more likely to purchase a certain product. And we see this kind of learning model in social media and Amazon, where it will show users products that they are more likely able to purchase based on their search histories or items that they've purchased in the past. The next one is customer segmentation models, which is able to group customers based on similar purchasing habits and creating demographics. We see very similar variants of this model in social media as well, where you're able to group certain people with similar interests together. And this is obviously very important for businesses because they're able to get a plethora of data and be able to group customers in with what they use. The next one would be predictive maintenance model that predicts the likelihood of future equipment malfunctions or errors. This is an example of a learning model that would be used in more real-life scenarios rather than on the internet. For example, a construction company would need to use these based on what of their equipment they need to be replacing and what they should be focusing their budget on for maintenance, and this will just be able to predict what company equipment may be giving them issues, so they know what decisions to make based on that. And again, these models are just to gather information and create many different outcomes for the user to decide upon. The last one we could be talking about is the quality assurance model. This is just one that discovers and prevents defects to avoid extra costs and ensure customers that all things are up to date and protected. We can see this in companies like HP for their ink, where HP will actually have recalls on their ink based on their quality assurance predictive analysis models. They'll say, oh, well, this actually is giving us an issue. We should start producing less of this ink, which gives us more issues and causes more back orders, which cost a lot of money for the company. And it's able to kind of optimize profits that way. And on the right, I just have listed some common uses for predictive learning and just examples of learning modules in general. They're often used in sales and retail to like organize the store or to optimize producting. They're used in criminal behavior. They can receive input of criminal behavior and kind of predict crimes ahead of time. Air flight trends, it's just to like manage air trafficking. Medical information, hospitals actually use learning modules all the time, both for like many different kinds of treatments and just for like keeping up to date with all of their visitors. And then the weather is actually one of the biggest ones, where they actually have multiple supercomputers that are constantly inputting data and predicting weather. That's all learning modules or models. That's all different things that are able to predict the weather. That's predictive analysis. And then some smaller scale uses of predictive analysis are like autocomplete, something that you use on your phone almost on a daily basis. And the big question is how? You know, we have all of these lists of amazing things that these computers are able to do, and we don't know how they get there. Well, a decision tree is one of the ways to make something more simple. This example is actually trying to decide if somebody based on their grades should end up in Class A or Class B, which is a use for learning modules in education. And essentially, this is just a visualization of how the computer passes and checks the information to organize where one student will go to another. Each of these square boxes are a formula that it uses, and if you pass the formula, it goes to yes or no, and it brings you down up to many different possibilities. And this is actually a lot like the game 20 Questions, where it's able to, you know, have a large possibility and just boil it down by asking yes or no binary questions. And it's able to narrow down the information and become a meaningful output that the user is able to use. Another example of how machine learning works is through neural networking. This is for more complicated things, but it's an example of how the computer sorts and simulates the information to predict outcomes. And it learns from each iteration. So if you look at the right, each line is actually a different neural network or a path that the computer takes to learn. And the green on the left are the input layers, and it compiles all the information and it goes through different simulations of what could happen with this information. And the output layer gives us many different possible outcomes based on what the computer is able to simulate and the data that it's compiled on its own. And this can give very informed decisions for a company, as well as allowing for a company to be aware of what they should be doing in the future. Limitations in Roblox. There are many. There's a big ethical issue. There's a huge debate. It's kind of a more gray area for machine learning in general, because a lot of companies like Walmart and Amazon and even something like McDonald's, they use machine learning and they gather data from their users. And people debate if it's ethical to do so. That information is not only recorded and stored, but it is sold and then traded amongst other different companies just to use for their own algorithms. So it becomes like an ethical debate if machine learning should be growing at the rate that it is. There's a hardware issue. It's rare to find computers that are able to produce predictive models that, you know, work as effectively as, say, like the weather that we were talking about before. There are multiple supercomputers that are constantly working on that, and it's a large sum of money to be able to work on some complex predictive analysis. And then having correct, unbiased data is also another thing. It's a limitation of the medium. But if data is collected automatically, then it's automatically unbiased because there's no person filtering it. And in summary, machine learning models are powerful tools that are being utilized everywhere, both in companies, large scale like Walmart, or small scale like local businesses. And these models operate based on data that the company is able to supply to it, both past data like purchasing history or future data like what a customer is coming in to do to buy. And the companies use these predictive analysis models to create insights on the future of a business, and they're able to optimize purchases and essentially to save a lot of money by using these predictive analysis machine learning models. And the possibilities for are endless. They can do as much as you can possibly imagine. These are my references. And thank you very much. Have a great day.